Okay folks, here we are in the Eastern Med, just north of Egypt, and I'm going to do an update on DTC for DCS, which is the tool that we can now use both VR and 2D to upload various kinds of information into the jet rather quickly. It includes weapons and waypoints, pre-planned waypoints for all your GPS weapons, laser code, just a lot of stuff. You'll see that as we go through it. I won't try to list it all here. First thing you want to decide, first of all, what you want to do is put the jet in some sort of standard configuration that you know won't interfere with the DTC upload process and will give it its best chance of success. And although I don't know what the particulars are here, what I use is what I used in the original video, which is HUD on DDI1, HSI, DDI2, and the data page, which is a subpage of the HSI page with waypoint 0 showing. Also radio channel 1 in both radio 1 and radio 2, and the INS alignment complete, and the switch in IFA. So having all that stuff set up, then you should be ready to go. So in order to bring up the application, you use the HUD vid switch, which is the WD switch, which is on the left side there if you watch it. Turn it on and it pops up. Now typically it comes up in this page here. Obviously there are two other airplanes that it is currently configured for. These are all slightly different, but basically the same. And all I'm going to cover here is on the F-18 Hornet. So I'm going to bring this up, and as you can see, I've got various missions that I've been playing with. The one that's important is radio channelization. And really what that is if I want to channelize something, if I want to channelize my radios because I know that my jet is not properly channelized, I can run that either separately or as part of the mission upload. And I'm going to do that. And what I'm going to do today is just go to this and I'm going to clone it so I can change the name so I don't change anything in this copy here. And I'm going to call it the DTC demo mission. And now it really makes a copy of what's in here. So we open this up, we go down to radios, and it's got all the radios in there. Now there's a few other things it has because I upload them at the same time. I generally do a radio update, but that's not, you don't have to have that as the case. But let's go to waypoints. Right now this is empty. And what I'm going to do is go to the F10 menu. And you can see the carriers up here. This is where I am. And we're going to do a quick low level into my target range here, just so we have some waypoints. This is bullseye, and you want to keep that in mind. It's the symbol that represents the blue bullseye, and this system will upload that data in waypoint 59, as you'll see. So what I want to do is I want to add some waypoints, but there's a little thing that we can now use that I can bring up, and I'll give you the keys that allow you to do that. But you want to, what I have is I have that mapped to one of my controller inputs that's clear. Essentially it's on my little keyboard here, but it brings up this little application. Now it says you can add steer points, add targets, add pre-planned coordinates, or clear. Now for the F-18, there's really no difference between steer points and targets. And in fact, when we put stuff in here, they're all precise coordinates, so you could use these interchangeably. So I just be consistent, and I may put them in as steer points if there are waypoints that I don't intend to use as targets, and then I'll add a target for these targets. And it's really only important while you're doing this. Once you're in the jet, it really doesn't matter a whole lot. So for the waypoints, I'm just going to go ahead and put the point where I want to have my coast in point right there, and I'm going to say add steer point, and it puts it in there. Notice that it's a coordinate that's to 3 digits, which is good for precise, and of course 0 feet because we're at sea level. And then we'll have another waypoint right here at the end of this little peninsula here. Oops, right there, and we'll make another steer point, and then we'll come down here into the target area, and we'll just we want to have a little valley that goes down to our targets, which are these ammo storage facilities down here. And so we'll just have the third waypoint right at the mouth of this little valley here. Okay, right along that road, steer point, and then we'll put the last steer point kind of right in the center area of this target complex, and we'll put that there. So we have 4 steer points, and that's kind of what we want. And I'm going to go ahead and send those to DTC, and it adds them in here all together all at once, precise with elevations, all kind of cool. Now what I want to do is check, we'll go to the next thing here, which is sequences, and I want a sequence, and I'm going to select sequence 1, and I'm going to just use all the waypoints. I could use a range of waypoints, which in this case will be 1 to 4. 4. And or I could put 1, 2, 3, 4 as specific waypoints, and that's all I need. I only want one sequence. Okay, the CMS, now I want to enable, do I want to enable EW on the HUD? For now I don't. That's something I can select later, and I'm just going to go with the, now you can change these, obviously any one of these programs, but I'm just going to go with the default settings for today. The radios we know are all ready to go. I'm going to enable guard on both just so we can listen to guard if someone calls. And I'm not going to play with these. I'm just going to upload all 20 channels on both radios, and that should be all we need. Okay, for the fire control radar, this is my standard setting. I already talked about this earlier, but AMRAM and Sidewinder are really the ones that I'm concerned about. You don't have to have these particular settings. You can set whatever you like. And I don't typically use the Sparrow, so this is just these are the default numbers that come with it. And I've enabled both RWR and BRA. And this is the declutter mode. 3 choices: normal, 1 and 2, and I'm just going to leave it at normal. Now for pre-planned, we have these weapons. Now what we want to do is put the weapons we have. Now on the outside we have laser guided weapons, so we want to put empty or other there. Now, and for this one, we don't have, now obviously this SDP is for the SLAM ER, but since we don't have that, we have the penetrator version of the GPU 31, so we're going to put that in both of these here. And so now what I want to do is I want to add PP. So let's go ahead and pick a couple of targets here. Let's just go to these targets here, and I'll do, let's clear this. Okay, add pre-planned, and notice that I have a 3 and a 7 station, so let's go pre-planned 1. Okay, and then we'll come down here and go on station 7 PP1, and notice that it has station 3 PP1 and station 7 PP1, and they are precise coordinates with elevation. Okay, and then we want to send to the airplane, boom, and it sends it up here. We can show the overview, and that's great. Okay, let's just go back to here. Now, if we wanted to clean this up, we could reset all PPs to 0, and we would show that we got rid of those coordinates, which is an added feature, which is great. But since we don't want to do that, we're going to go ahead and re-enter them real quick here. Okay, PP1. Actually, it's here, so we can just resend them up. That's good. Now, those look like similar but not identical, so those are different waypoints. Okay, good. Okay, so we've got those two things set, and we can go to HMD. We're going to leave these the same, but obviously you can see that you can modify these to your heart's desire, and you can also reset back to the standard. Okay, so down in miscellaneous, I got a lot of things selected because I typically upload these things. All right, the bingo is that I like to use is 5,000. This will, if we don't want to click, if we don't want to enable bullseye, we can unclick it, but we do want to enable waypoint 59 as bullseye, so that's good. Barrel altitude warning is at 5,000 feet. That's typically the standard. Radar altitude warning. This will actually set the bug on the radar altimeter at 200 feet. Now this sets the laser code for the pod for both the targeting and spot tracker. So we just want to do the targeting one since we're going to self-laze, and I'm going to put the code that I like to use, which is 1748, and I'm going to leave the default in here, not change it at all. I'm going to select the tactical autopilot bank limit, and then I'm going to put in the information for the carrier I'm on, which is channel 72 X-ray, and the ILS is channel 2, and we'll hide the map on the HSI. Okay, now that's all the parameters that I want. So I go up here to upload. Now what do I have to upload? I have waypoints. I have a sequence. I don't have any countermeasures. The radios I want to upload. I have some settings in the fire control radar. I have some pre-planned coordinates. I don't have anything in the HMD, but I do have something in the miscellaneous. Okay, so it looks like I've got pretty much everything I want. So I'm going to get rid of that little thing there, and then I'll go back to the flight deck, and just so we'll watch it go through this. Now you can either hit the IP button here if you like, or you can hit the upload button here on the DTC application. Now if you're I don't know if you can see the DC application if you're using VR, probably not. I think that's why we have this way. But you can hit the IP to get it to get this thing to run, and that's what we'll try to do here. So again, make sure your screens are all in the same configuration that you set earlier. Looks like they are, and I'm ready to upload. So let's go ahead and hit the IP button. Boom. So you can see it's going through its thing. It's putting in that kind of the information we talked about. Now it's going to go in and put each of these waypoints, and there were, I think, 4 waypoints. Notice that are precise coordinates. Okay, now it's going to go all the way back down to waypoint 59, and it's going to mark the bullseye. Then it's going to go back to waypoint 1 and stop there. And now it's going to do the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And now it's going to go through your radios. It's going to just verify that go through all your radios. Now, I think this jet is already properly channelized, but it's going to go through them and redo them. Now, notice that it says DTC upload in progress. That's a new addition, and it just allows you to know when and how for how long the DTC is doing its upload. Now, you can be talking to other people while this whole thing is going. You don't really have to monitor it. It goes pretty quick, and you can just check everything afterwards. You can actually rerun portions of it if you think something was screwed up. You don't have to rerun the entire thing. But you definitely want to have the stuff set to the what to you is going to be standard. And what I use, I've already talked about. Okay, and now it's going to go to the fire control radar. I didn't see that it did radio 2 there, but maybe I missed it. We'll see. Okay, now it's going to do my preset weapons. Notice that they're precise coordinates and they have elevation in feet. And they're going to do stations 3 and 7. Okay, now they're adding my bingo fuel here. And TACAN. And that's usually the last thing there or close to it. And obviously that's done. So let's go ahead and turn that off, get rid of it. And let's just check the radios to see if radio 2, well, it looks like it must have gotten it, but that was pretty quick. Let's see, button 1. That's correct. Oops. That's correct. Okay, that's correct. And I think that makes, those are the ones that really change. And yeah, that's the same. And the other ones would be 15, 16, and 17, which are, yep, those are correct. Okay, so it looks like it got those two. So we'll put those all back on button 1. Put this back on button 1. And let's see here. Now, button 1 is what you want to be on the flight deck. Let's take a look. Now, what we haven't done is, I'm going to go to stores page. We deselect that. Now, we have GBU 24s, which are laser guided. So in order to put the code into both of these, I just hit the code button before selecting the weapon. So notice that the weapon is not selected. I'm going to hit code. I'm going to put in the code that I want, which is 1748. Enter it. And when I select a weapon, it's now in both weapons. And it would be in all 4 if I had 4 laser weapons that I wanted with the same code. If you want to put different codes in different weapons, then you have to select the station and then individually put in the code for each weapon. This is just a quicker way of putting in weapons for codes for multiple weapons. Okay. All right, so let's just go back to radio 1 there. Let's check to see if radio altimeter is 200 feet, which is great. We have the sequence we wanted, so I think we've got everything we want. You can see it's pretty quick, and even though I was talking and focusing on it, once you have the parameters, you can go about talking to other people, going through your brief with your flight mates, why the thing is being uploaded. Now, before we leave this, I'm going to bring it back up real quick. And I want to show you a couple of things under load and save. Now, these are allow you to essentially on a previous day or maybe earlier in the day before you have a mission, you can come into the mission and you can set up your DTC and then save it to a file and then hand it to everybody in that you're going to fly with, and they can load it in their jet without paying any attention, and then he will just tell you what to use and whatnot about the mission to make it simpler for the entire flight, not just the flight lead. In fact, the whole unit could have that same upload if you make it generic enough. Like, for example, if you had 16 targets you wanted your squadron to hit and you wanted 4 for each of 4 flights, then just give them all 16 coordinates and then assign waypoints to be designated as targets later by each of the 4 flights. So there's ways to do this, ways to use this. It's real nice. It's kind of a no-brainer, and it seems to be pretty reliable. I've been using it now for a couple of months, and I was part of the test team that evaluated this new version, and I really like it. It's pretty nice. Makes things a lot simpler. And I think that's pretty much it. Talk to you later.